This is Studio 809.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Outdoors with Hiking Bob podcast. I'm your host, Hiking Bob Falcone. You can find me on my website at hikingbob.com, which has links to my social media, my columns at the Colorado Springs Independent, the other podcasts I've done on my photography website. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to have a guest speaker or a guest interview today, and the interview will also be conducted by my co-host, Kevin Wild Westendorf, and you can find him at wildwestendorf.com and also on all his social media. Is also at Wild Westendorf. He was a lot easier, smarter than me. He got everything with the same name. I couldn't get that. So just go to my website to look for my stuff and go to Wild Westendorf to look for Kevin's stuff. And today we're going to talk about a topic affecting an older population, but not necessarily just an older population, also a younger population. And that is hearing loss, which affects all of us. And I know after my 40 years of being on fire trucks that I have a little bit of hearing loss, fortunately not as bad as some of my counterparts did. And it affects everybody. And I think it's a feature with getting older to some degree. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, who is now going to conduct this great interview. And we're going to talk about hearing loss, how we take care of it, and how that affects outdoor recreation. Kevin, it is all yours.
Hey everyone, Kevin Wild Westendorf here, and I am excited to introduce today's podcast with Bernie Schmidt.
Yeah, got it.
With the Colorado Gerontological Society. Yeah.
Good.
And it's a very close topic for me, although I am not the target demographic for this organization because of my age, but I am hearing impaired, as most of you probably know. And that does come into factor. It comes into play every time I go outside and I do my hikes and I go camping and all that. So I am excited to have you here on the show today.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad to be here.
Let's start off with just what's the core mission of your group?
Okay, so the Colorado Gerontological Society has been around since about 1980. We work with seniors over the age of 60 or their families, professionals looking for training for like assisted living, get out all the information. We advocate for seniors in the legislature, both state and federal, of what benefits come to seniors or how we can help them live an independent, fulfilling life. And one of my main responsibilities was the hearing grants for people over the age of 60. And so they can have an independent, fulfilled life. They can go outside. They can feel confident. They can contact their families or their friends. A lot of people won't go to church anymore because they can't hear. So that's been my focus, is basically hearing, vision, and dental. But this last year, our hearing and vision funding has been closed, has been shut, or cut, I should say cut. So
Okay.
That's very concerning to me.
So why was the funding cut?
I'm not sure. I guess it is just the budget. A lot of the different nonprofits, we're a nonprofit that helped with food delivery or food, home care, have had their budgets cut by maybe 50%. And the vision and hearing, well, the hearing especially was cut totally. So that was kind of a shock when I have, because how our things work is you fill out an application and we go on a wait list. We've always had a wait list. And when that was cut, I had over 400 people on my wait list.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we're, trying to fundraise and see if anybody get any donations to be able to provide hearing aids for seniors. What's really nice is because we have these great people that work with our program, audiologists, and the majority of them accept what we pay as payment in full. so it doesn't cost the senior anything. And
Okay.
believe me, we don't pay much on the hearing aids, and they're so generous. They're so generous, and we're grateful to them.
I actually have a little bit of experience with that, with the whole budget cut thing in a
Yeah,
nonprofit, because I worked at a food bank, and the first week of this year there was a huge budget cut because of loss of funding, and I was a part of a huge layoff, so
yes,
it was just like a shock because it came out of nowhere. It felt like.
yes. Yeah, I understand that. We thought we'd be cut, but not because of the importance of hearing and life and going to your doctor and talking to your family and your mental health and going
Oh,
outside and taking a hike. Yeah, I was shocked that it was totally cut to nothing.
well, it's really sad to learn that because from my experience, e- every 6 to 8 years, I get a new pair of hearing aids. I've been deaf since birth, but every time I've gotten a new pair of hearing aids, it's been life-changing because of the advancements in technology and the processing that the hearing aids do. And mine now like have Bluetooth and such, so I can listen to music and watch videos on my phone and my TV, and it's
Yeah.
really, really cool. Um, but I'm curious to know what was the motivation to starting this group? Who started it?
Well, it was started in 1980, the Colorado Gerontological Society as a nonprofit. And they started because there really wasn't anything out there to help older individuals. And even our attitude, look at the attitude from 19, I've been around a while, from 1980 to now of how people view older adults. It's amazing. I mean, before you looked at an idea, you're going to die anytime you're 65, but and that is what really happened. And now it's like, my gosh, I have surveys for people I serve that are in their 90s, and they're like, hey, I now can live life again. It's wonderful. I'm going out. And so anyway, that's what it was. And also it had to do with I believe contact with the legislature here in Colorado and the federal level, and trying to protect or enhance some of the help that seniors need. Because even with our what we do now is there's a lot of things no one tells seniors what's available to them, and especially low income people. And
Oh,
there's a lot of things out there, and no one tells them that. No, what the state doesn't, their area agency on aging, what does that actually do? We actually mail out something called a Stay Well News, and it's just basically a 2-page flyer every 3 to 4 months and telling people, okay, now it's November's coming up, sign up for LEAP. That's a little bit of something, something. Oh, here, this is coming up. Or here, yes, you are. Everybody over the age 18 gets TABOR, but you have to file taxes. And so a lot of people are under 25,000. But I'm sorry, I kind of got off the subject, but that's what it was. It was all about, you know, helping people that are older and their families continue a good life.
I love that. And besides the flyers you would send out, how else do you get the word out? Is it through like individual audiologist offices or advertisements on TV or radio or what?
Yeah, all of the above. So we have
Okay.
our audiologists are fantastic. And so they know who people maybe who can't afford them or are in need, and we give them all the applications so they can just apply right there and send the information to me. Also, there's tons of senior fairs all over the state. Now, our hearing grant was basically the metro Denver area at
Okay.
this time, or before we stopped. And so we go to all the senior fairs and there's senior connections, and a lot of the different counties have senior fairs. We also put ads in the smaller newspapers like 55 Plus Marketplace or Prime Time for Seniors, and all the other local ones that some of the different towns have their own paper. We send out emails. When we go to senior fairs, we usually have people sign up to receive that flyer, and we have like, I believe, 28,000 people we send that out to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, and so everybody kind of helps each other. It's like, oh, I don't need this, but my neighbor, she's really having a hard time. So can I take this? Yes, please take this and let people know. So that's how we do our outreach.
Okay, okay. And besides the funding issues, what other challenges have you faced in reaching your mission?
Well, the challenge is it still kind of relates to funding because we've always had a wait list. We've never had enough funding, even though, a lot of my providers, they accept about $2,100 or less for a set of hearing aids. So we can serve a lot of people. That trying to make sure our computer system's up and running, just like general things, because we're a small
Okay.
profit, and getting the word out to sometimes you wonder, how did you find us? How did you find us? It's amazing kind of thing. And getting other resources to other parts of the state. I mean, I have a couple of things I can do. The Here Now used to be Starkey Cares, but they don't do very many people, and they do all ages. And there's an application. And so I give people that number, but and it's $150 per hearing aid.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to fit, I mean, there's parameters that you have to fit into, and they don't do a whole lot because they cover the United States, I believe. And
Okay.
yeah, so and then there's another one that it's like 4 or 5 audiologists in Colorado, and it's called Hearing the Call Colorado. And they refurbish hearing aids, and about every 3 months or so, somewhere in the state, they do just a Saturday deal. They, yeah, there's an application too. You still have to qualify. And so they just see you in the morning, give you the hearing aids, and you're off and running, and try to keep connection in case. Yeah, because a lot of people think, oh, I can get my hearing aids and that's it, and I just go on my way. Well, sometimes you have to go back, and you have to go back, and you have to go back to get them
Yep.
adjusted and figure out how to work them. So they get all that taken care of. But those are two helps, but it's very, very small.
Yeah, because I know the feeling. I've got an audiologist I've had for, gosh, 22 years now, I think. I've been going to him since I was a kid, and now his daughter is taking over the practice. So I'm like I'm starting to miss him, but I'm getting used to working with his daughter. And she's great. Um,
Good.
but yeah, I've had to go back every few years with the same set of hearing aids to get them adjusted, and plus as I get older, my hearing loss becomes more profound.
Hmm.
And it's just a fact of life and aging and such. And I probably went to too many concerts when I was younger too. So
I've heard that.
yeah, yeah. These days I just go to a concert and I turn my hearing aids off, and then I can still hear them fine.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you can.
Well, I want to shift the focus to what this podcast is about, the outdoors. What is the primary I personally know, but I would like to hear from you
Yeah.
what the primary benefits are to being able to use hearing devices and hearing in general in the outdoors.
So, it's so magical to being outdoors. It's so
Oh
magical
yeah.
to hear the birds and hear if you can hear a wolf or coyote or something howling too. I'm from the country. I was raised in the country. So all that happened. But it's for people to take part, to be able to not be afraid, to be able to hear. And if hopefully they're hiking with someone else, and to be able to communicate, to hear those birds, to hear that waterfall that you just walked past, the leaves rustling instead of just nothing. And so that brings joy to people, it brings joy to me. So it's also a safety issue because, okay, do you have, if you're driving there, if you have vehicles around or an animal or just that awareness of, so you can, just feel safe. And then if you're in a group, communicating with each other, having fun, partaking with your group and sharing, what's happening around you. And when we do the hearing grants, we send out a survey, and uh, one of the surveys said, I'll never forget it. They said, I can hear the birds. I can hear
Oh, that's
the birds.
awesome.
Yeah. So I think that a lot, the safety, the community feeling with your people, um, that you're hiking with or enjoying the outdoors with, or maybe you're even going to a game or something, hearing the scores or, things like that. I just was hiking up at Wild Basin with a couple of friends, and we're all older. And the majority of hikers were well over the age of 60, maybe over the age of 70, and enjoying that outdoors and feeling free and hearing those birds and the sounds of nature is wonderful.
Oh yeah, I have done many early morning hikes where I've been witness to birds just going nuts. And there's been times where I've stopped and I just embrace it and enjoy it. And I can relate very, very well to the joy it brings to be able to hear everything around me and nature. It's like the birds, the leaves, everything else you have mentioned. Also, just there's so here in Colorado Springs, we have North Cheyenne Canyon, which is well known for having hummingbirds everywhere.
Oh.
There's been times I'm just like I'm hearing stuff and I'm just like, what is I'm hearing? And it's like, oh, it's a hummingbird over there. And I will share that it in terms of safety, I did a hike in the southern part of the state near a town called Westcliff a few years back. And I got out of my car and I'm hiking, and all of a sudden I hear this shrieking, screaming sound. And I got really concerned. Because it sounded like a person just screaming at the top of their lungs. And I'm the only one out there. I'm the only car on the trailhead. It was early morning and there's no phone service or anything. And
Mhm.
finally I get to a part of the trail where it goes up this ridge, and I look down this ridge and I made eye contact with the coyote.
Oh my goodness.
It turns out it was the coyote making that screaming howl sound.
Hmm.
It saw me and it stopped and it ran off, and I was like, man, you scared me.
I bet that would have scared me too.
But also in terms of safety, it's helped me to hear people on mountain bikes
Yeah.
and motorcycles too, because you're allowed to ride the motorcycles in the national forest. And sometimes, I'll be on a trail and I hear the faint sound of the engine revving, and it's like, oh, okay, like, and if I couldn't hear that, nothing against the community of people who ride on motorcycles and trails, but they aren't always the slowest
Yeah.
doing turns and stuff. So I know there have been a few times where I could have been hurt if I didn't hear them and move out of the way. The only time I almost got actually hit by a mountain biker was I actually had to change the hearing aid battery. And I was on this trail and hadn't seen anyone else for hours. So
Hmm.
and it was a very, very narrow trail. And so I just set everything down on the ground, and I'm changing the hearing aid battery, and I look up and I see this guy on a mountain bike just barreling towards me. It scared the heck out of me. But like that was just a brief moment of not being able to hear, because I wear two hearing aids, but on this specific day I only was wearing one because I think the other one was in for repair or something. For
Uh-huh.
yeah, so Yeah, it was just a very brief moment. So I can see that being very, very important for people to have access to that. And another thing is the cost. A lot of people don't realize how expensive they are because like the new thing now are over-the-counter hearing aids.
Yes.
Um and so a lot of people see the prices of those and think like, oh yeah, they're much more affordable and stuff, but don't realize that those are just amplification devices,
Yeah.
not hearing aids that are prescription. And
Yeah, I just got a call yesterday from somebody saying the same thing. Oh no, well, this maybe I can save up because some people can't even afford that. And I'm like, well, that's basically an amplifier. It's not a hearing aid.
yeah, yep.
So, and it's just it's kind of fooling these people spending that money when it's not really going to help them.
Yeah, like recently Apple came out with a new AirPods version and they touted like it has a hearing aid ability. And it kind of upset me because it's just like it's misleading. Because
Yes.
they're not actually it's pass-through sound. I'm forgetting the actual term that they used, but they were advertising it as a hearing aid. And so I was seeing a lot of comments online saying like, "Oh, I could never afford hearing aids, but now I finally can with the new
Yeah.
AirPods." And it was frustrating because it's just like, no, it's not like that. There's
Yeah.
a world of difference between over the counter versus seeing an audiologist and getting hearing tests and getting your hearing aids fine-tuned to your prescription. One thing I'm thankful for in terms of the outdoors is my last pair of hearing aids and my current pair are moisture resistant.
Oh, great. That's fantastic.
Not waterproof, so I can't just take a
Yeah.
bath and stuff, but they're moisture resistant, which has made a world of difference during my hiking and dealing with sweat.
Yes.
Because I remember with my older pair, every time I would go on a hike, I would have to like dry out the hearing aids afterward. The microphone area would get muffled because it's getting filled in with sweat and
Right.
and it was such a hassle. So I'm glad to see that these new devices, newer ones now, are resistant to moisture. So it's not discouraging anyone from going outside because they don't want to deal with the hassle of sweat being inside their aids and such.
Yeah. What was funny that Apple, that's what I got the phone call on yesterday. Was
Oh, okay.
somebody saying that, and I'm like, no, that's an amplifier. You really need hearing aids. Let's see what we can do. I can't do anything at this time except, you know, hope. So yeah, this the hearing aids, and they've gotten better and better. And some of the people, they couldn't do the volume and stuff or too many things on their hearing aids, so they can do it through their phone.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so terrific. Really helps a lot of people.
Now, I'm curious though, if over-the-counter hearing aids would be sufficient for someone that is seeking your services, would you help them with that, or is it purely prescription hearing aids?
No, well, at this time we have no funds whatsoever.
That's right, that's
And
right. Yeah.
we were locked in on our hearing grant. It was through the state. And so we could only do certain things because it's kind of written into the grant of what we can do. And we'd always, if someone needed something, a repair, because that really wasn't in the grant, it's like, oh, we can do this, or we have a smaller grant that we can take care of all that. But now we're looking for funds so we can build this up and help people, because I still have over 450 people on my wait list. I still get applications for hearing, and I'm still taking them because I'm not going to give up hope. And
Good. I'm glad.
so we can do what we want then. If somebody just needs an amplifier, that would be terrific. But that's the funding that's we're looking for, and trying to secure anywhere, because if we help one person, that's at least one person got help, you know.
Yeah, I
So
remember that frustration when I worked at the food bank about grants. because there's all these conditions applied to grants, and we'd be sitting here going like, okay, we really need money for this thing, but that's not a popular thing like
Right,
maintenance of the warehouse or something.
right.
Because most grants that we would get would be focused on what would get the most applause,
Yeah.
most public facing stuff. So I totally understand the frustration about the grants with all the rules applied to them. Now, you said you have a waiting list of over 400 people. Um,
Correct.
how many people do you have you served overall this past year or two, or
Okay.
average?
Yeah. So I looked this up. We received a grant from the Area Agency on Aging, Dr. Cog, and then we also have we had a couple of smaller grants that we could use too. So I'm including everybody in one. We have providers that sign up with our program, and the majority of them will accept what we pay as payment in full. And the highest we would pay would be like $2,100. So they write off the rest. So
Okay.
it's really fantastic. We have some great providers. So so last year in 2024, because it goes July 1 to June 30th, and so it closed June 30th, we served 174 people with hearing aids. In 2023, we had additional funding. We served 345, and this is just the metro area. In 2022, we served 265 people. And in 2021, that was kind of that pandemic. So a lot of people at the state, different nonprofits had to return their funding because, they were locked in with the pandemic. And we were
Okay.
able to serve 435. So
Nice.
yeah, so how our program works. They fill out an application, and a lot of our providers, um, they sign up with our program. It's usually just the basic hearing aids and like an ear mold or things like that. And they, for the majority of them, they accept what we pay as payment in full. So it doesn't cost the senior anything, and it's over the age of 60. Living in these counties, we'd like to expand to the whole state. So yeah, that's how many we served, and I have a wait list of approximately about 400 to 450. And I'm just saying, just keep sending your applications in, because as soon as we get any funding, I keep sending them out. But our providers have been fantastic to this program, just fantastic.
Now, I know you had mentioned a group that will refurbish hearing aids. Does your group ever accept used hearing aids to provide as an updated hearing device for others, or do you
Well,
have
we would
providers
direct
do that?
them to go to them, because we're really, I'm not a doctor. I know nothing. I just administer the program, um, and go out to the audiologists, see if they will participate and be our partners. So, I mean, they can always bring them here, but we would contact the providers or the hearing aid providers that work with us and contact them, because we can't do anything with them. But the people on our list that accept, some will accept what we pay as payment in full, some a little bit more, but it's really, they're the ones that would accept that. And there's only certain people that would do the refurbished. In fact, this Hearing the Call, Colorado, they used refurbished hearing aids, and they're fantastic.
No, you talked a lot about the state, but are there other groups like this in other states across the country?
The the Colorado Gerontological Society, this is a Colorado thing. And I did vision, hearing, and dental grants for people over the age of 60, according to financial and economic need and how much money I had. So, so we are an individual state. I've had other states call other people in the state and say, do we have anything like that? Can you help me? Well, no, this is for our people, but I don't know about the other states. So we're kind of an individual that's helped seniors. I don't know about any other states doing this, but we're just a small nonprofit. There's only 5 or 6 of us that work here, and we do a lot of
Oh,
work.
well, okay.
Yeah, we're teeny.
So how can people like our listeners here help support you with donations, with volunteer work, or in what ways?
Okay, so you can go to our website, which is www.senioranswers.org. And
Okay.
that's in we're the Colorado Gerontological Society Senior Answers and Services. And then our website is senioranswersandservices.org. And there's a donation. We have something coming up. We do holiday baskets for people over the age of 60. They kind of
Oh,
have to
cool.
apply. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming up. And we give you a list of things to buy, and then people donate, and so we give them some chicken or maybe some chicken breasts and some personal items and a present and some toiletries and
That's
all
cool.
that.
I
Yeah,
like
it's very
yeah.
cool. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of people adopt 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 seniors, and then they yeah, that's great. And then they buy that part, and then we have donations, and we put together a present and the chicken and kind of that basic stuff. And then they come, and I believe it's scheduled for the second Saturday in December. And we just give you a name or how many names you want, and you get that stuff. Some people decorate their boxes that they have the food stuff, because it's not just for a Christmas dinner. It's something that they can eat over the month or 2 months. And then, yeah, you get your names and deliver Christmas baskets. So we do that, and we do a lot of educational things or information for seniors. We have a huge salute to seniors, and we didn't have it, of course, during the pandemic. Started last year. This year we had at the Greek Event Center off Alameda and Colorado Boulevard in Denver.
Okay.
And we had 2,500 people there. It was fantastic. Everybody was
Wow.
fantastic. Yeah. And we have entertainment and things to see, some old cars. Forney Museum brings cars. And, a lot of providers come, and it was a great time. Yeah. So some of the other things we do, but the hearing, this kind of, has my heart, because I have family members that have poor hearing,
Hmm.
and I'm afraid for them. That it's like, can you please get new hearing aids? Can you please wear your hearing aids, because you're not hearing me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really a safety and a happiness, and get rid of that isolation. Uh, and it just breaks my heart that we don't have that hearing aid, but grant anymore. So we're working on getting the funding, so they can go to our website, the www.senioranswers.org, and donate there. Or we are in Denver at 1129 Pennsylvania Street in an old house.
Mhm.
So, and that's in Denver, and we'd love to hear from people and love to help people. And thank you so much for advocating and being out there for the hearing impaired. It's cool.
And I know you mentioned a flyer earlier, and I apologize if I'm forgetting, but is there a newsletter that folks can sign up for?
Yes, there's a newsletter. You can call. Our telephone number is 303-333-3482, and we can take your information, or you can email us through our website at senioranswers.org. and let us know that you'd like to be on the newsletter. So we do a lot of different things. We do a lot of classes for professionals, but classes just for you and me on all sorts of
Okay.
things going on, and we have a YouTube channel, so things you missed, you can go back and check out and stuff like that. So, yeah, so contact us. That'd be terrific.
Please do, listeners. And I think I have one final question, and this might be the biggest thing that I ask you, but what's your favorite hike you've ever done?
My favorite hike. Well, I tell you, I just went on one up in not quite Estes Park. What was the name of it? I just had it. I went with a couple of friends, and they're older than I am. So it was between Estes Park and where you turn to go on the highway to go back through Boulder and such. And it has the water and the waterfalls continuously up that hike. It was
Oh,
terrific.
nice.
It's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. And I can take my time because I'm not that much in shape. I'm trying. How about you?
Oh, well, my favorite Colorado hike is the Maroon Bell Snowmass Four Pass Loop. I did that as a training hike for what I was going to do in the Grand Canyon later that year.
Oh my gosh.
It was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I even have a tattoo of the Grand Canyon on my arm, because it was such an amazing hike. But um, yeah, the Four Pass Loop hike is right outside of Aspen, and you can see the Maroon Bells here. I was there
Yeah.
last week. Um, but the Four Pass Loop goes around the mountains. Um, and it's four passes. So you go up 4,000 feet, down 4,000 feet, up 4,000 feet, and you do that four times all
Wow.
the way around these mountains. Um, that's my favorite hike that I've ever done because it's the best of all the worlds. I mean, there's waterfalls, there's rivers, there's creeks, alpine lakes. Uh, I just a bunch of animals I saw. Like it was great.
Yeah. I love that, Doris. I'm a country girl at heart. Uh, so raised
Yeah.
on a farm and being outside. So I even go back to my little hometown and it's in Nebraska. And it's just
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm free. Yeah, it's nice.
Know the feeling. Well, thank you so much for being with us on this show. I really, really appreciate your time and giving us all this information and talking with me. Because I think this is a very important and valuable resource to have for a lot of people. And I know it's not geared towards my age group, but I know we have a lot of listeners who are 60 or older. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, just keep us in mind. We just have so many people in need and living half lives because they can't hear. And a lot of people bury themselves in their houses or their
Yep.
apartments, because it's scary. It's scary to go out. And then it kind of is like, well, I just give up. I just give up because I can't hear anything. And so we need to fight that isolation in their health and their mental health and see them smile again. So,
Oh yeah.
our website is www.senioranswers.org. And we'd love to, have people donate or give us suggestions or anything like that so we can help people.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Bob, do you have anything else to add?
No, that was a great interview. Thank you so much for the information, Bernie. We really appreciate it. And I'm one of those people that I'm at that age, but fortunately, I'm not where I'm in need. But Bernie, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Folks, if you can help this group out and donate to them or volunteer, or get on their newsletter, lobby your politicians to help them restore this funding, all that stuff, I'm sure they'd be able to tell you how you can help them. So please help them out. And there'll be a link in the show notes so people can find that link there. So, Bernie, thank you a lot for being on the show. Kevin, thank you for doing a great interview. Really appreciate it. And great job there. So, I think with that, we'll say goodbye to everybody. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Kevin. Take care.
Thank you. And we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.